Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to Duelyst. Now Duelyst is one of those games that I've been wanting to check out for a little while. Friends of mine have been playing it and they mentioned that it's actually very good, but I just simply hadn't gotten around to playing it yet myself. However, recently the developers of the game reached out to me and asked whether or not I wanted to go ahead and make some videos for their game, which seemed like a great opportunity to indeed do so right now. I've been playing for about 3 to 4 hours so far, and in this video I want to be giving you my honest first impressions as well as give you an explanation on how to be playing Duelyst yourself as well. So Duelyst is a trading card game. In its very basis, it takes a lot of elements from say games such as Hearthstone, such as Magic the Gathering, such as for example Chronicle. However, the one major difference with this game and the games that I just mentioned is that we're gonna be playing on an actual board and minions will be able to move around the map for free. Well, we got a couple rules to keep for right there, but in general, the minions are going to be able to move around the board, which is a really cool aspect. And with that, it feels like a mix between one of those like trading card games that I just mentioned and for example chess or XCOM, where you are also allowed to obviously move your pieces. Now, in its very basis though, we are still going to be running with a lot of cards and we need to make sure that we get those cards. Now, how do you get them? You can get them from simply purchasing these things called Spirit Orbs. Now, you can purchase them with in-game gold, which seems to be relatively easy to gather, or you can go ahead and purchase them as well for in-game money, as is to be expected because the game is free to play. Now, in this example, I'm going to go ahead and purchase a single Spirit Orb right here with 100 gold. As you can see, currently I've got 180. So I'm going to go ahead and purchase one of those Spirit Orbs, and we can open those up right here. Now, I still got a couple left over. The developers were nice enough to give me a whole bunch of these so I could, start playing. But you can basically drag one of these Spirit Orbs in the middle, and it will unlock 5 cards for you. Let's see if we get something useful. So gold is earned by just simply playing the game or by completing these daily quests. Now I want to be showing you the daily challenge at the end of this video. I already did complete it, but I think it is going to give you a good example of how complicated the game can truly be. And as you can see, there will be different kinds of quests available all the time, as is to be expected, but they do grant you quite a little bit of gold. So getting any faction up to level 10 right now, which is only going to take you a little bit of, probably a couple hours at most, is going to already grant you enough to get another one of those Spirit Orbs. So in general, I think you can go ahead and play this game without spending a dime. Now, to make sure that I don't overcomplicate this video, I want to be showing you one of the default decks, one of the decks that you will be getting right from the very get-go. So what I'm going to do is just jump into a game right now with the Lionar Kingdoms, which is one of the factions in the game. As you can see, there are several ones available. We'll go in depth on those in a little bit. But I can go ahead and pick Lionar and then choose my AI opponent as well. In this particular case, let's go up against another Lionar as well, just to keep it straightforward and easy.
Lionar versus Lionar.
Alrighty, so welcome in the game. Now very shortly you will be able to see the board that we are playing on. But first and foremost, we gotta make a decision of the cards that we want to be starting off with. So as you can see, we can have 5 cards in total at the very beginning of the game, and I can mulligan away 2 of those if I would like to. Now, this particular instance, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the Elysian Brawler as well as the Silverguard Knight, as they are a little bit too high in mana cost, and I really can't use those in the early stages of the game. Well, I could technically use the Silverguard Knight, but I already got one, so let's get rid of that one. Now, one thing to note is that we got minions as well as spells, and minions are going to be indicated by just having a minion icon on them, right? Now, below every single card, you can see the mana cost of each and every one of them. So in, for example, the Windblade Adept, I can go ahead and play right now if I would like to. It's going to cost me 2 mana, which I start off because I went second. I started off with 3 mana right here in total, so I'm going to be able to play that if I would like to. Now, in order to win the game, we gotta bring our opponent down to 0 HP, and that's going to be indicated by the red shield icon. So you can see right now my opponent has 25 health, and I can also actually attack him with my own general. So if you look at my general right now, he's also got 25 health. He will be able to do 2 attack damage at every single turn if I would like to. Now, one thing that I could, for example, go ahead and play, as I currently have 3 mana, is going to be the Silverguard Knight. And the Silverguard Knight is going to be a minion that has 1 attack as well as 5 shield. Now you can imagine, since my opponent only has 2 attack himself, he's got no minions played just yet himself, I am going to have a relatively easy time holding him back with the Silverguard Knight and prevent him from hitting my general and therefore prevent him from, taking me down to 0 HP. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and play the Silver Hand Knight right here, right next to my hero. And there's a couple of important things to keep in mind with this hero. Now, there's a timer running right now because I only have limited amount of time to make my turn. But for example, this minion right here has got two unique properties that are actually very special to the hero that I'm currently playing and to the faction that I'm currently playing as well. And that is first and foremost Provoke. Well, that's actually not a faction exclusive thing, but it seems to be most prevalent on LionR. Basically, it prevents enemy minions, if they are close to this Silver Hand Knight, from moving around the battlefield. Because in its very basis, a hero can both move as well as attack. Now, it looks like my opponent did just manage to use a spell, which allowed him to get rid of that minion. But I'm sure you're getting the idea at this point of what is going to be going on here anyway. Now, in its very basis, like I said, I can be moving with the general and every single minion out on the board every turn. Unless there's some special mechanics at play, for example, such as Provoke. I can be moving and I can also be attacking. Now, as you may have noticed, there's these balls right now in the middle of the game, these orbs. And what they will do is give me one additional mana crystal during the turn. Now, I'm grabbing it right now in order to prevent my opponent from also, getting it himself, but also just to give myself a little bit of extra mana this turn. Although it doesn't really look like I'm going to be able to, use it very much in this particular turn. Now, there's another special mechanic that is unique to LionR as far as I'm aware, and that is going to be Zeal. Zeal, as you can see, is going to be a Lion Strength, right? And what I can do is play this minion right next to LionR right now, or I can play him anywhere adjacent to the squares of him, except for obviously where the opponent's general is going to be located. I can put down this the Zealed unit, the Windblade Adept, and as you can see, it gains +2 attack as long as it is going to be adjacent to my own hero. So what I can go ahead is just simply pay those two just like that. On top of that, I'm gonna play the Sunstone Bracers, which will give my general +1 attack. Now, this is something that is slightly more complicated, as I will be able to use that for 3 hits right here in total. But let's go ahead and hit the opponent's general. And as you can see, I managed to do 3 attack damage instead of 2, which is what my opponent was allowed to do. Now, at the end of every turn, you are gonna go ahead and start, gathering one more card. Obviously, there's going to be cards in the game that will give you additional card draw as well. But right now, my opponent is going to have to make sure that he is gonna deal with all of the minions that are out on the board. Now, as you can see, he uses a card called Martyrdom, which I also personally have got in this deck as well. And Martyrdom destroys any minion that is out on the board, any of them, but depending on the amount of health that they have, they will heal up the hero, that minion belonged to. Long story short though, we've got all kinds of different options, and the goal is to bring the general down to 0 HP. In many cases, you're gonna have quite dynamic setups that will make it a little bit more interesting. One of the things that does make it more interesting as well is going to be this, this faction-specific spell that you can cast every couple of turns. This particular case is going to be Roar. Now, Roar I can use to give a nearby minion a little bit more attack. So notice, first off, this Windblade Adept is going to get +2 attack from being close to my hero. I can then also give it some additional damage output by just simply using my faction-specific spell, bringing it up to 6 attack, which is a lot, right? That's very, very good. On top of that, I'm gonna go ahead and play the Saber Spine Tiger. Now, the Saber Spine Tiger right here, as you can see, it can move and attack immediately. Now, I can't technically play it just like that. I'm gonna just go ahead and put it somewhere out on the board. I really don't want to risk with it. I could technically move it over and attack the opponent's hero right now, but I kind of want to see if I can prevent that from doing, just because I want to use this to pick off something else instead, if I, can. In this particular instance though, we are gonna simply just go ahead and hit the opponent's hero. As you can see, no matter what, he's always going to be hitting back, and slowly but surely, we are going to be whittling him down to a lower and lower HP count. So you can see, right, positioning on the board is very, very important, as if you misposition yourself in the game, you're gonna be in a terrible position, as your opponent is gonna be able to just simply stop you from moving around. So this is another one of those cards that has a special effect. This is going to be a Silver Guard Knight, and the Silver Guard Knight has got a special ability called Provoke. And it stops nearby enemy units, so that's going to be my minions, including my general as well, from moving. But more importantly, I will now need to take out this Zeal here before I can actually move around my hero once again. Now, we gotta be pretty careful about that, but in this particular instance, I don't think I really need to worry, as I do have a very high amount of HP still on my hero. And as long as I just go ahead and play this big-ass guy right here, and, call it the end of my turn, I think I will be able to take down the opponent's hero in the next turn. So I obviously don't need to attack. I can make some strategic decisions in this moment as well. And as you can see right now, my opponent is indeed going to be attacking here for a little while longer. But no matter what, I'm going to be able to take out wow, he's actually going to go ahead and do it that way. Wow. All right. No matter what, in the next turn, I should be able to take out my opponent's hero. Although, he actually is doing this quite smartly. I wasn't assuming. Like, generally speaking, the AI in the game seems to be a little bit silly as they aren't going to be moving around very much. But right now, it looks like I may very well have to wait for another turn here as well before I can take him out. Now, I was gonna move over my my minion right here and actually finish him off that way. Sadly, we're not going to be able to do so just yet, so let's go ahead and be smart about our positioning. Once again, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit him in the face. I can also use my True Strike spell if I really wanted to. I could also go ahead and replace any card during any of my turns to get something else back in return. But in order to not overcomplicate that, you know, I haven't really been working with that mechanic very much. But I can just sort of shut my allies or my opponent in here. So there's going to be no way that he is going to be getting out of trouble. And I highly doubt he's going to be able to deal 19 damage in a single turn. So he's gonna go ahead and replace one of his own cards as well. Technically speaking, he could sacrifice the Salutary right here and actually move backwards, which could technically keep him alive for just a little bit longer. But as you can see, we managed to lock him up quite nicely here. So in almost no situation is he going to be able to stop me, but he actually did successfully just now provoke my Saber Spine Tiger once again. And well, in either situation, we're gonna be moving this guy forward. And we're gonna be hitting him in the, or we're gonna be hitting the minion obviously in the face. Finish it off as well. And at that point, we should finally be able to start pushing onwards. Now I'm gonna move the tiger right here around, and we'll just simply kill the opposing general, or the opposing general, and therefore pick up the victory. So actually, all in all, that got a little bit more complicated than I had anticipated, right? But I'm sure you're grasping the basics of the game right now. And as you can see, the Lionar Kingdoms did just level up to level 8 as well, allowing me probably a couple more new cards. Now, of course, we can go up against another player as well on the season ladder and try and rank up some. However, I want to be showing you the solo challenges here instead. The solo challenges are actually a really cool set of challenges that will teach you more about the game's mechanics. So, for example, one of them is going to be the elemental secrets, which are, you know, is going to go over the very basics of the game. And just to sort of show you, I guess, we can play the mission or the challenge called Lionar Earn Your Wings. It will teach us about a mechanic called flying. So the goal for this mission is to go ahead and defeat the Abyssan General in a single turn. We gotta earn our wings, so to say. Now, obviously that is going to be introducing a new mechanic we haven't seen just yet, and that is going to be a mechanic known as flying. And as you can see, normally minions can only move around for 2 steps at a time, or make a single turn, I guess. In this particular instance though, as you may have noticed already, we're gonna be able to fly anywhere we would like to with the Dragonlark minion. Now the Dragonlark minion will deal 2 damage, so that does mean that I will be able to do quite a little bit to Lily the Blight Chaser right here. But anyhow, so there's a couple of things we can do. First and foremost, I can go ahead and play my Tempest spell if I want to, which deals 2 damage to all minions and generals. Gotta keep in mind though that at that point obviously my Dragonlark minion will also die. So what I'm gonna do first is give him the Aryan Nexus, which will increase his health for a little bit. Then I'm gonna go ahead and play Tempest, which will then, you know, deal damage to everyone out on the board. At which point I can move forward with my Dragonlark and finish off the opposing hero. Which is like a really fun way to learn about the different mechanics that the game is going to be all about. Another challenge is called Crushing Reach, and it will teach us more about ranged minions. Now, ranged minions also pretty straightforward, but this is a really cool way to learn the different mechanics of the game. Are going to be minions that I can use to basically shoot whatever target there are, depending on where they are going to be located, or like independent of where they're going to be located themselves on the battlefield. So I can take out whatever is going on right here. It's going to be my goal though to deal with Fae Bloodwing. Now, I myself am going to be playing Vath the Immortal, which is going to be the general of a different faction. And obviously, all the factions have got class-specific spells, as well as, you know, minions, as well as just unique abilities all in all. Now, in this particular instance, I need to make sure that I kill Fae Bloodwing in a single turn, so we gotta be a little smart about it. We got 2 different cards here. First and foremost, we got Greater Fortitude, which will give a friendly minion +2/+2. And I can also get the Bounded Life Force, which will make my general be a 10 attack minion. Now what's going to be the play here? It's going to be pretty straightforward. I'll need to make sure that I buff up my minion right here, at which point I can go ahead and use the Greater Fortitude on my other ranged minion, and I can shoot down both of the minions that are currently blocking my general's path, at which point I can start moving forward and finish off Faye Bloodwing right here in a single hit. So here is the daily challenge, and the daily challenge should showcase to you that the game is definitely not as straightforward as it sometimes may seem. There's going to be a lot of positional play that will make the RNG, the randomness in the game, significantly less important, as it all comes down to being able to outposition and outplay your opponent. Alrighty, so we need to take out the opposing hero right here in a single turn, and she's currently at 22 health. Now there's only one correct play that you can do in this turn, because otherwise she isn't going to go down. Now normally you earn quite a little bit of gold with this challenge, which is awesome, because it personally took me about 10 minutes or so to figure out the puzzle. So, first and foremost, let's have a look at all the different minions that are out on the board. So we got the Black Solace right here, which is going to be blocking my path right here, as I'm not going to be able to directly reach the opposing hero, as the Black Solace right here is blocking my path and he's just standing in the way, right? But whenever you summon a Wraithling, this guy will get +2 attack. Now speaking of Wraithlings, they're going to be these little minions that are all adjacent to the Blood Moon Priestesses. And the Blood Moon Priestesses will summon a Wraithling on a random nearby space whenever anything dies. So that's going to be the Death Watch, which basically triggers when any minion dies. So as you can see, she's currently covered by them. And if I kill anything right here, it is going to buff up the strength of the Black Solace. One of the spells that I currently have, for example, is going to be the Kinetic Equilibrium, something like that, and it deals 2 damage to all minions in a 3x3 area. So for example, if I would play it like that, right, there's gonna be a whole bunch of explosions, but, you know, obviously since it doesn't kill the priestesses, she will just go ahead and respawn a bunch of them, and therefore the Black Solace will become more powerful, and you get the gist of it. Next up, we got our Fire Starter. Whenever I cast a spell, it summons a 1/1 Spell Spark with Rush. Now, Rush means basically charge from Hearthstone. That means that this minion, the Spell Spark that did just get summoned after I casted a spell myself, is going to be able to move around and also attack in the same turn. So, for example, I played it just like that. Which is obviously going to kill it, and it's not going to take out the Black Solace, but you get the gist of it. Then we also got Vat the Immortal, which is going to be my main hero here. And in the back, I got my Venom Toth. Whenever your opponent summons a minion, deal 1 damage to the opposing general. So you gotta keep in mind, since I can indeed blow up all of these minions relatively easily, what happens is that while they are currently all going to be resummoning more and more of these minions around the priestess, and this guy will gain additional attack, the minion right here in the back will start dealing damage to Lily the Blight Chaser. So I've restarted the turn, as I'm gonna try and showcase to you how to be completing this daily challenge, just to sort of showcase how difficult it can be and how complicated it can be when you're first starting off. So as far as the spells go that I got in my hand right now, I got the Flash Reincarnation. The next minion you summon this turn costs 2 less and takes 2 damage. So what that means is that since I only have one other minion right here in hand, the Alcuin Lore Master, which is going to put a copy of my most recently cast spell into my action bar, is going to die right from the get-go. However, you gotta keep in mind, I still have this Fire Starter here as well, which means that I can, you know, whenever I cast a spell, get a 1/1 Spell Spark with Rush. So if I go ahead and play the Flash Incarnation right now anywhere, you can imagine that this guy will go ahead and die, but it's going to go ahead and cast me a Spell Spark that I can now go ahead and play with as well. So what I'm gonna do is move this guy forward for just a little bit, and we'll go ahead and play the Kinetic Equilibrium. As you can see, it will deal damage, therefore it will start dealing damage with the Venom Toth as well, and it will buff up the Black Solace, but I will slowly but surely be able to turn that guy down, right? Now you gotta keep in mind, since this is also going to be a spell that we will play, we should be spawning a second one of those one of these Spell Sparks as well. And what we gotta be smart about as well is that we move it over 1 square first, as the Fire Starter will cast one of these Spell Sparks in a random nearby space. Now obviously if this Spell Spark would have been right there, it wouldn't have been able to, you know, cast anything, as all of the, you know, the adjacent spots next to this minion are going to already be you know, taken up. Now, before playing the massive AoE spell right here, I'm gonna make sure that I attack with the Spell Spark, as it is going to die no matter what. So go ahead and play it that way, and then play it right here in the middle of this little square. So it will start doing quite a little bit of damage, and it will trigger all of the different attacks. But more importantly, it will also trigger the Spell Spark minion once again, which I'm gonna move forward, at which point I'm gonna be giving it the Dire Tide Frenzy. So it gives a friendly minion +1 attack and frenzy, and once again I needed to move it forward right there, as the fire starter otherwise will not be able to cast another one of those spells. So you can see, like, there's a very specific order that you need to be playing things in here as well. Now I can go ahead and attack right now, which will allow me to start pushing forward once again, but I can also go ahead and play the Alcuin Lore Master, which will, like I said, put a copy of the most recent spell that I cast into my action bar. Now one thing to note about the card that we just played is that we gave it Frenzy, and what that means is that when attacking in melee range, it will also simultaneously strike all other nearby enemies. So what that means is that if I attack this way, you can see it will start dealing quite a little bit of damage. Just because it's hitting everything around it, then the Blood Moon Priestesses will spawn new things, and the Venom Toth is going to be hitting like absolute crazy. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and play the Alduin Lore Master. Now I can play it really wherever, it doesn't really matter, as it's gonna die immediately anyway because of the card that we played previously, but it's going to be giving me another Frenzy back. So I'm gonna be moving that guy forward, gonna be playing the Dire Tide Frenzy right now as well. There we go. It's gonna be casting another bunch of these guys, at which point I will be able to start doing quite a little bit of work and finally finish off the Black Solus. There we go. Now there's only one turn left to do, and that is move this Spell Spark over, give it the Greater Fortitude, which will in its very turn cast another one of these 1/1s. We will be able to hit him once. And then we can also run in this minion, which is actually the point that I was having issues with. Because obviously the Spellspark wouldn't die here, and she's still going to be at 1 attack. But I'm gonna be running in the Spellspark minion into one of these Wraithlings, as that will give Venom Toth another reason to start dealing 1 damage to the enemy general. So that is the one turn, actually, after figuring out most of it, that I couldn't see at first. And it's quite a smart little move that I personally really liked. As, you know, that's the only thing left to do if you want to achieve victory at that point in the game. So all in all, Duelyst seems like a very fun game. There's a lot of cool aspects that I enjoy personally. First and foremost, the one thing that bothers me a lot about games such as, for example, Hearthstone, is that there's just a lot of randomness, right? Oftentimes you just lose the game, not so much because you played bad, well maybe also because you played bad, but more importantly, because of randomness not being in your favor. And with Duelyst positioning, that is not going to be the case. For those of you that know me well, I guess, I used to play a lot of chess way back in the day. When I was a kid, I used to play a ton of chess. All the time, and I really like the idea of having those elements in the game as well, as positioning is far more important than it is in any of these other trading card games that I have played, at the very least as of recently. Now I am definitely interested in making a follow-up video as well, where I'm going to be playing some ladder as well as create my own Lionar deck, because I seem to enjoy that one a lot. So if you're interested in watching that, do make sure you hit that like button, but also make sure you subscribe so you get a notification when I do upload that video. And other than that, if you want to go ahead and try the game, there's a link down below in the description of the video. Once again, it is completely free to try out. So if you're interested, you can obviously just simply hit up that link down below and sign up for an account yourself as well. But other than that, I want to thank you all very much so for watching. Have an amazing day, okay? Do not forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one.